This is going to be a super duper awesome crash course on HTML and CSS to help you make websites. Hey everyone, I'm Samyak Agarkar and welcome to Agarkar Media Academy. In this video, we are going to do a very quick crash course on HTML and CSS. Of course, the aim is not to teach you in depth HTML and CSS. We are just going to go around all the topics, all the important topics in very quick sessions so that you can understand how HTML and CSS works, and of course you can also make some websites through it. So what we're going to do is we are just going to go for just 1 hour. Let's try to go just for 1 hour, and in 1 hour we are going to try to create basic elements of HTML and CSS. We are just going to learn HTML and CSS, the basics of it. We are not going to create awesome websites in this video because this is a very quick crash course. I'm just going to show you how quickly you can set up all the systems that you want, and then you can use the HTML and CSS to create awesome elements. We are just going to create elements. Of course you are going to create some website, but it will not be very super duper awesome website, just elements. So let's start with a bang. So here we are in Visual Studio Code. This is one of my favorite code editor, text editor. Basically it is an advanced version of text editor. So there are cases where you can use the basic Notepad or Notepad++ to create HTML, CSS documents and websites, but I don't suggest that. I just suggest you to go for Visual Studio Code, and Visual Studio Code has many awesome functionalities that can help you create awesome code and awesome looking code. So just let's before we go through start coding, we're just going to go through all the settings that I already have. So in Visual Studio Code we have something called as extensions. So extensions give us some extra layer of functionalities which we can use, right? So what are the most important functionalities right now that we want? One of the most important is live server. What live server basically does is it hosts your server, so you can directly see or watch your website live as you edit. So you don't need to refresh it every time. Once you just save the website or save the web page or the file, it will automatically get updated, and it's very awesome that way. So that is what we'll be using. I think we also need bracket pair colorizer, I think, because that would be really awesome. As you can see, if you have some brackets or something like that going on, it just colors it. So you need it to visualize the code properly. It is not going to make any difference on the code or actual website, but it's, as a developer, it's really good to have, right? Then also I think that is it. These two are more than enough. Material icon theme may help if you are using file systems which where you have a lot many files and you don't understand which file is open. So this material icon theme is easy, makes it easy to visualize the files. So if you have a CSS file, it will look something like this. The icon of the file will be this and stuff like that. So this is really awesome. You may want to have it. If you don't have it, it's also okay. So now what we are going to do is we are going to open a folder. We are done with the material extension and all these extensions inside of VS Code. So now what we are going to go do is we are just going to open the folder where we are going to create our files, or we are just going to create our project. So here I have a YouTube projects folder. I'm just going to create a new folder and call it HTML CSS crash course, right? And just open it up and select folder. So here we have the folder opened inside of Visual Studio Code. It just takes some time to open it up, and that's it. Here we have the folder, right? So now what we're going to do is we are just going to start the timer, just so to keep ourselves within the time limit. We are going to go for 1 hour, but let's start and let's just hope that we complete everything in just 1 hour. So it's a really crash course. So what we need to do is here inside of our folders, just create a new file called index.html. So the extension of HTML file is very easy, HTML. So here is the HTML file opened, and what we need to do is just need the very good functionality of Visual Studio Code is I think emmet. So Emmet has a very good functionality. You just need to type in HTML5 and just wait for it. Just wait for it. Yeah. So, or you can do is hyphen, and that's it. So you have all the boilerplate that is called as the boilerplate for the HTML file. So what we did, again, a exclamation mark and enter. So it gives this boilerplate. So you don't need to type this everything up. We're just going to understand what it is, we are line by line. So doc type HTML, it just says that the document is HTML, the language is English. HTML and slash HTML are the two tags, one tag basically, but the opening HTML tag and the closing HTML tag. So this basically everything in the HTML works in tags. So once you open the tag, you need to close the tag. There are some tags which are, which don't need to be opened or closed. They are just one tag. So we'll see what those tags are. Head is for header. So all the head tags, all the functionalities here will be seen on the head. We'll just see what it is. And the body is the actual part that is seen on the web browser. So that is it. Just here, when we use this, what we are going to do is we are just going to save this file. And as soon as we save this file, we can go here and open it with a live server. So as soon as I open it with a live server, this is really good. This is one of the most important functionalities inside of Visual Studio Code, where you can see the website in action without saving. So this is it. Here I've opened it up. We are just going to go it here, and I'm just going to decrease the size of this till here. It's good. So as soon as I open this document in the live server, this got opened up, and here you can see the title of the document is document as it is being described here. We can just change it. Let's say HTML CSS crash course, and save it. As soon as you save it, you can see I don't need to go here and refresh it. It just got refreshed by itself, and now the title says this. Let's add something in the body. Let's say my first document, right? And just save it. And as soon as we save it, here you can see the my first document part. So everything that we write inside of body will be shown here in the body of the website, and whatever we write in the title will be shown on the title. So now let's start with elements that we want to use. So these are, we are just going to cover everything in very fast manner. We're not going to spend too much time on each and everything. So there are basically few um, head sections, head parts, headings. So H1 to H6, I think. So what we are going to do is H1, H2. I'm here using Emmet. Emmet is inbuilt. So here you can see as soon as I type H2, it gives this, and I can just enter it up, and everything just gets set up. So let's say heading 1, and in the H2 we are going to write heading 2. Just save it. Here you can see heading 1 is larger in size, heading 2 is smaller in size, and that is exactly what we want. So, and heading, basically this is also useful for SEO purposes. So search engine optimizations, search engines actually give importance to heading 1, the next importance is given to heading 2, and so on. So H1, H2, H3 is also very important in terms of SEO, search engine optimizations. So let's see this. Heading 3, we're just going to write down all the headings. H4, heading heading 4. This is the easiest part, I think, but we are just going to spend time on writing this so that you can understand what is actually happening. Right, heading 6. So basically we have all these 6 heading types, so you can see all these headings. Now let's have one more, not a heading, so that you can understand what's actually happening and what is the difference between a heading and a non-heading. So here you can see, I'm just going to increase the font size so they can see better. Heading 1 is bold and larger in size. Heading 2 is also bold and large in size. So as you can see, all of them are bold and larger in size, but they in means there's a difference. You can also have these sizes controlled by yourself using the CSS part. That is what we are going to learn in the second half of this tutorial, and we are just going to learn all of these alongside. But the size and the boldness of the letters can be controlled by ourselves. Just the difference is headings using H tag, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6. These are better for SEO purposes. So if you want your website to be shown on Google and have higher rankings, then use these all these headings to give the headings to your document. Now, so you understood how you can use heading sections. Now we are just going to use the next most important thing after a heading is a paragraph. So P for paragraph, P opening closing bracket. This is a paragraph. Now there is one more functionality, which is Lorem. Lorem is basically, it fills up some number of words. So you might have seen this. I'm just going to use Lorem 50 and enter, and it just fills up 50 letters. So this functionality in Emmet is really very useful. If you are just testing your website and you don't want to write out a long paragraph or copy the paragraph from somewhere else, then Lorem is really good. Just save it, you'll be able to see what it actually does. I'm just going to decrease the size to 100%. Here you can see this is the paragraph. So paragraph, something looks like this. Of course, the Lorem some text does not make any sense to me, at least. It is in some language, I don't know which language it is in, but it has some sense. But as a developer, we don't need to understand what it is actually. So this is the paragraph. Now inside of paragraph, or even if you're not using a paragraph, we need some styling. Basically, what kind of styling to the text? We can make the text bold, we can make the text italics, that is slanted, we can underline the text. So these are some of the things that we can do inside of HTML directly. We don't need CSS for that. So we are just going to go for that. We are just going to use one more paragraph here, P for paragraph, and I'm just going to make some space for us. Here I'm going to write B. B is for bold, of course. Before writing anything in the bold, let's just write something. This is non-styled, right? And this is bold, right? So as soon as I write this and save it, so here you can see this is a non-style. So this is bold. Let's write in italics I. It's really HTML is really very easy, because italics, because all the names are, all the abbreviations are very easy. As you can see, italics is the slanted one, U is for underline, of course. This is underlined, and just save it. This is underlined. Now one problem that you can see here is we are, we wrote all these sentences, these 4 sentences in 4 different um, lines, right? But inside here it is not showing up. Why? Because paragraph does not take into account these new lines formats. A new line format, to use the new line format, we have something called as a break line or a break row. So for break row, we need to break the row, and come down. So for that we need to use the BR. BR is something written like this. Just save it. As soon as you save it here, wherever the BR tag is written, from there the paragraph will just go to the next part. Here you can see that every different paragraph, this we had this paragraph here, which is this paragraph, and we had this paragraph here, which is this paragraph. So as soon as you write a different paragraph, a carriage written, which is called as basically enter, or a new line is automatically inserted. But inside of paragraph tag, there is no automatic insertions of break lines or enters or carriage returns. So for that you need to write BR. Now there can be a case where you want to separate these 2 paragraphs. We have these 2 paragraphs, we just want a single line here. we just need to separate these two out. So for that we have a functionality or a tag called as HR. HR is horizontal row, and I'm not really sure what those abbreviations mean, but HR is something which gives a straight line, a line to divide the two sections. So if you have if you have basically right now here we have two paragraphs, the first paragraph and the second paragraph. HR gives this breaking of line, this horizontal row onto the HTML or onto the document. Just understand this all is called as a document, right? Next, uh, next what you need to do is let's try out comments. Now comments is basically what in every programming languages we have comments. Comments is basically what you want to write some information which is visible onto the document here in the code, but it is not visible onto the web page. Why we need such kind of things? Let's understand the need of comments. There can be a case that you have a very huge document written by yourself or coded by yourself, right? But you don't understand or you don't remember everything, right? You just want to have some comments inside of there to just recognize what you have done there, right? Let's just try out. The best way to write a comment is um, angled opening bracket, exclamation mark, dash dash, and as soon as you do it, of course it fills out it's by itself. This is the way you write a comment. This is a comment, right? So if I save this, I can see there is no this is a comment section here because this is a comment. Is this comment visible onto the document? No. Is it there in the code? Yes. How to check it? You just need to go to the inspect section. So as soon as you go to the inspect part, and here in the body, here we have this is a comment. So this is a comment. Here you can see, I think this is a comment is there inside of the blend, inside of the web page, inside of the code, but it is not visible directly onto the web page. And this is really awesome. So let's say we want to write this is first para, and here we want to write, I'm just going to show you one more easy way to write a comment. This is para 2, and I just wrote it in the in the plain part, and I'm just going control and question mark. I hope it works. Control and question marks. Oh, no, it's not working. Control and question mark, yeah. Of course the functionalities were open, so it did not work. Control and question mark is a toggle between a comment, and this I think works in every programming language inside of Visual Studio Code. Comment, for comment you just need to have this comment, control and question mark. That just gives the comment. So write any part. This is, I'm just another comment, and control and of course escape and control and question mark. And this is really easy way to write comments right here, right? So this is it with the comments. This is, I think, it with the sections, the fonts part, the text part. We're just going to look at how to change the font. So the best way to change the font is in CSS, but we're not going to look at the direct CSS part right here. We are just going to go for here. To write a CSS, basically CSS is cascading style sheet, right? Cascading style sheet. Cascading style sheet means whatever comes the last will be applied the last, right? So if you have something, so let's say I say that the font should be let's say Arial, but after that I define that the font should be, let's say, are my most favorite and the least favorite, Comic Sans MS. So let's say first I define that the font should be Arial, then I say that the font should be Comic Sans MS. Whatever is the last defined would be used. That is why it is called as cascading. It just cascades. The last one is applied at the last. So that is really helpful to understand, I think. To write a style sheet, there are various methods to write style sheets, or we are just going to go for the header styles. So I just need to write a style here, basically a style opening and closing bracket. Here I can write the style. So I want the body is basically I'm defining that I want to apply this style on the body, and whatever the style that you want to write inside of the body should be or any tag that you are going to use should be defined by opening and closing curly braces, as I am doing right here. Now to change the font family, right? And as soon as you do here, you have some different fonts that are possible, or you just download your own and just do and use whatever font that you want. I'm just going to go for COG UI. I have no idea how it's going to look, but as soon as I save it, here you can see the styling has been changed. So this is the way you can change the font family. I can change the background of whatever tag that I'm using. So let's change the background, background and color, or even if I use background, it's of no difference, color. So background color changes the color. So these are all the colors that you can use, or you can just type out the hash codes. Let's try. I have no idea what color I'm going to use. I'm just searching for a better color. This is what, dark green sea. So this is what I'm going to use. Just save it. As soon as you do it, here you can see the color has been changed. Now because I'm writing this code, changing the background color for body, so it is being applied to the complete body. If I just do it for something else, it would be applied to something else. Let's change the color of the font of the text. To change the color of the text is color, and it's just we are to going to use dark slate gray. I think it is a good contrast between the two, so I just use these two colors. So this is it. This is how you can use the CSS here. This is one way. The other way is to write the CSS just in the line, in the paragraph. So what is it? That is something called as inline CSS. So style, I can write it just right here, and here in the double quotes. Let me just, I think, move myself away from the screen a little bit. Good. So in style, we can just write background background color, and let's use red, right? As soon as I save it, here you can see now, because I've wrote the style in the p tag, this p only, this paragraph only, so it has been applied only to that paragraph. If I had written it here in this paragraph, it would have appeared here. So that is the best case. This is the way I can tell you how the cascading style sheet works. Cascades, because first we defined the color at the topmost part for the body. It got applied to the body, but later I defined it for this paragraph, so the last one which was being defined got used. I can also here change colors and everything, that we are not just going to look at that just yet, right? So this is the way, one more way of writing a style sheet. I'll show you one another way to write a style sheet, which is to have a completely different file with an extension .css, right? So style.css. Now I can write anything here, but so let's just to the, let's say we want to change the body color here. We are not going to write it here. You just understood how we can write the style here. Now what I want to do is have the style here, save it, save it. But all the styling that we have applied is gone. Why? Because we have not linked this file to the HTML file. So to link the style sheet to a file, we just need to write link and enter. And as soon as we write link and enter, it gives rel, that is relation, is style sheet, and href. Href is basically hypertext reference. So basically we just need to write the path of the file. So it is the style.css file. As soon as I save it, now again the difference has been applied. The fonts, the styles has been applied. Just let's try to change this so that we understand what's going on, if it is really working or not. Let's use aquamarine. I hope it will show some change. Yes, good. So here you can see how we can just change the styling using this. You can have multiple styles, but whatever is the last style, that would be used. So it is not really about the last style, but the last file, the last style that is being used for that particular element will be used. So I can have multiple style sheets here. I can have multiple style sheets here. I can have multiple inline styles here. I can define multiple style tags inside of head. It makes no difference at all. The only thing that you need to understand about CSS is that it cascades. Whatever comes at the last will be applied at the last. So whatever it is at the last will be shown. All the others will not be shown. So this is about style sheet. Now let's try something else. Let's go for buttons, right? One of the most important things that you will have to work with is buttons. Just going to make not be just going to make some space, and here we are going to write, after this tag we're just going to write a button tag, button, button tag. And here in the button I can write anything. This is a button. Of course I change, I um, this is a button. So here you can see this is a button. I can click it. Nothing is happening right now. For the button to have functionalities, we need to learn something, that is JavaScript. JavaScript gives functionalities to this button. Right now we can have very little functionalities to this button, but we're not going to look at that. We are just going to use the style sheets to this button to make it look better. Now, to change the style of the button, of course, we can go to the style panel here. We are just going to select our button, button, and for the button, I'm just going to write some styles. First of all, I don't want this black, white and black combination. So I'm just going to change the background color. Now, background color, I shown how you can change the color of the background. BGC is a shortcut for background color. So if you just need that, it would be really helpful. And let's use something like brown. I think it would look great if I just save it. Here you can see it is being turned brown, and I can change the color to make it white. Right now it looks good. But one of the things right here is that this is having some borders, so I don't want the borders to be there. So border none, we don't want the border at all. Border none, all the borders are gone. Good. Now one more thing that I can see here is that we want some spacing, right? The brown part is really little. I just want the brown part to be more, and the this is the button part to be the same, right? I basically need some space inside of the element. So that is something called as padding. So padding, padding, we have all these different forms. Most important are the left, top, right, bottom, and you can have basic one padding where you can define everything. So I'm just going to go for 10 pixels. I want a padding of 10 pixels from all around. So as soon as I define that 10 pixels, it is giving some padding all around. If I just change it to 20 and save it, you can see the padding has been increased. So this is what is padding. Padding basically is the space inside of the element. So inside of the element is padding. Outside of the element is margin. So let's say I want a margin. Why margin? Maybe just I want to space the two different elements aside. So margin, let's say I want 50 pixels margin from everywhere around. So as soon as it can see here, as soon as I put margin 50 pixels from here, 50 pixels from here, 50 pixels from here, and 50 pixels from here is the spacing that has been defined. So this is the use of margin. Padding is the space inside the element, margin is space outside the element. Now, pixel is not the only way to define it. We have EM, REM also. So PX is pixels, 1 REM is 1 REM, 1 relative EM. So basically what it means is relative. The E1 REM is relative to the font defined globally. So the global font is 1 REM. If you have 1.2 REM, then it would be 20% more than the defined default size of the font. So you can just use anything. You can use pixels, you can use rem, you can use anything that you want. You can use also em is one of the same kind, 1 em, 2 em, 5 em. So there is a difference between em and rem, but we are not right now going to look at that. So that is how you can use the padding and margin, right? So this is what padding and margin. One more thing that we are going to look at in the button itself is the borders, the radius of the element. So now, right now the radius of the element is 0. You have these sharp corners. We don't want the sharp corners, we want some circling around, right? So that is something called as a radius. So radius or border radius, of course. Let's try 10 pixels. So as soon as I do that, you can see the radius has been defined to 10 pixels and it just rounds off the elements. If you don't have the padding and margin or padding, this will not look really great. So you need to I would suggest that you have some padding so that it looks good. Padding, let's say 10 pixels, and this is how a great button can look, right? So this is all about border radius. If we want some borders, then of course we found that we can use the border part here, right? Here we can define different parts. First of all, we want to change the color. Let's say white is the color. 10 pixels, 10 no 10 pixels will be too much. Let's say 2 pixels of the width of the border, and we want a solid border. We are just going to show I'm just going to show you how different borders work. Rather than white, I think we should use black so that it looks better. BLACK, of course. This is how a solid border looks like. We have different borders also. I think it's dashed. So dash looks like this, a dashed border. I think if there one more is dotted, and it looks dotted. Now of course it is dotted, but you cannot see this right now, but it's okay. It is dotted. I cannot show you that. Dash, dash, dotted, and solid. These are the most important use. Mostly dashes are not used, but yeah, solid is one of the most used border style. So this is it, border, right? What else can we do? I think this color needs to be changed. I'm not really uh, finding it great. Now we're just going to delete this part, which leads us to some other part. We don't want to write any styles in HTML document. We want to write all the styles in styles.css document. So what is needed is, if I just want the changes to happen to this paragraph only, I'm just going to decrease the size so that it looks good. If we want just changes to be done to this paragraph only, then right now it is not possible. We saw that part. I can just select the paragraph tag and just change the background color to, let's say, red again, because I don't know, no hash, of course, red. So but here you can see all the paragraphs that are defined here are having the border red. I don't want that. I just want the red border to this paragraph only. How to select this paragraph only? There are two ways to do that. One of them is a class way. So you can define a class to the paragraph. Let's say para red, right? So I've just defined the class as para red. Now I can select the para red class right here. How to select para red class? Of course, para red class cannot be defined just right here, because these are the default elements of HTML. I cannot just write para red, because it won't work, because it is not defined by default. What we need to do to select a class inside of CSS file is dot just before the keyword. Dot just before the keyword. Now I can write para red, and I can define this styling for this, BGC for background, and red. And as you can see right here, para red is the class. We selected the class for the paragraph inside of CSS by dot class name. Here we defined the class to that paragraph right here, and we selected this and gave it a background of red, and now this is how it works. Let's say we want to change this paragraph also to some other color, and we're just of course going to look at some different way of using the this part, selection part. One of them is class, as we have seen. One of them is id. You can also give an id to every paragraph or every element in that matter. So id, let's say I want the color, I want para to be orange. I don't know, orange, right? How to select a id here? To select a class, dot. To select an id, hash. Hash para orange, orange, and select the bgc to orange and save. Now it is done. So to select a class, dot. To select id, hash. These are the two ways you can define, different ways. Define the selections for every element. Not this is not just for paragraphs. This is for every other element inside of HTML. You can do this for here also. Let's say if I just give it an id, you can have same IDs for different elements also. Let's say I here have the para orange ID to this h1 tag, then this h1 would be changed in the color and the styling. So that is the way you can have class and you can have IDs. Now there can be cases where you want just a wrapper to put everything inside of it. We're just going to delete everything of this, or maybe not, because I'm just going to share this exact style sheet with you and this exact files with you. You can just download it after everything is done, right? So let's say we want a wrapper. There are two wrappers available, div and span. So div and span are two wrappers that are available inside of HTML. What basically wrappers are? Wrap. It wraps the content. So why we need wrapping of content? Let's say we have 10 different elements which need same styling, but for every element you don't want to write the class and or id for every of the 10 elements. You just want one wrapper, which you for and for that wrapper you will define the style sheet, and every element inside of that wrapper will have the same styling that is being defined for the wrapper. That is the use of wrapper. We are just going to look at these two. Basically these are the only two ways to have wrappers. Div is a wrapper. Now to give a class to the div, we just have to write dot inside of it. We also already saw that dot gives uh, the class and hash gives id. So for every element that you are writing, if you have this emit functionality in your editor, whether you are using VS Code or any other Atom or any other or Sublime, let's say, you have this functionality of having classes and IDs that can be written directly. So div dot, and let's say I want red white, let's say. So as soon as I do that and enter, the class has been defined red white, right? Now let's say I have a paragraph here with lorem 10, let's say. Of course it did not work for obvious reasons. Lorem 10, good. We want another, let's say button, and we want the button to be read more. And as soon as I save it, here you can see right here we have this thing going on, right? But what I want is I want to change the color to red and white. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this in the styles part to select a class dot class name, right? bgc, let's say red and white, we saw, right? So white and color as red. As soon as I save this, you can see right here this has been applied. So now I don't need to write the color for this element, right? For this paragraph, I don't need to write here. What we did was we wrote the styling for this paragraph only, and it got applied to the paragraph, of course. But right here what happened is everything inside of the div, which is the wrapper, everything got applied for every element inside of the wrapper div. If we can of course change this to span, and there would be no much noticeable difference. Of course there is some difference between span and div, but we are not going to look at that just yet. Here you can see the background is not really available in span, but there are some functionalities that are available inside of span, others functionalities are not available inside of span. The use cases of span and div are different. You just need to understand, just need to try out or maybe look up into some good documentation for understanding the difference. This is a very fast crash course. We are already up 36 minutes. We are not going to discuss every single detail now. So this is about the website, or this is about the div and span, that is the wrapper. Now other things that we can do with all of this is we can have tables, right? Of course we need tables inside of everything that we do. I'm just going to give an hr is for a horizontal row, right? Just two lines. Here you can see these two lines. Let's change the color for hr for every hr, right? For every hr is an default element of html, so you can directly write hr. And let's change the color. We want the color, hr is defined by I think border color, so we're just going to go for border color and give it black. As soon as we go for that, you can see black color, of course, yeah, black colored hr right here. We just did that to make some space. We are just going to also add br or maybe two brs just to have some spacing between the br is break row. It just gives a carriage return, right? So here you can see we have made some space here. Now here we are going to define a table. Let's add h1 element, call it table. Here you can see table, and to write a table we have the tag name table. Very easy, table. Inside of table there are two ways basically: table head, that is t head, and table body, that is t body. So table head, t of course head, t head gives heading to the table. The light is too bright, I think, and just need to, yeah, okay. Okay, so table head and table body, these are the two ways, two parts that we need to write inside of a table. So table head, the header section, which is about the what you call as the column names, right? And table body is the other part, right? So tr, we just need to write a table, th for table head, and tr for table row. So th tr h column 1, and we're just going to copy it a few times. Good. And we're just going to go for the same in the table body also. td for table data, tr for table row. I think I'm just messing up the sequence here, but let's see. Tr, let's say data 1. Is it working? No, it's not working. Of course I messed up. The tr should be here. I think I messed it up a little bit. column column 1, tr, and copy it a few times, save it. Let's copy it one more time and just change the column names. I think it's done. 3 here, 2 here. As soon as we save this, we have this going on. I think I'm still messing it up, Just let me check what I am doing wrong. Okay, I have really no idea what's going wrong here. I think here we need the th element. Is it showing up? Yeah, now it's showing up. I got it right finally. So this is what we actually need. Cut. Why did I cut it? Copy, paste, paste. Save it. We have the three columns, or we are just going to go for the basics one, right? I think this is getting too confusing. We are just going to delete everything right here. I'm just going to show you the easy way. Th, t head, t are different. They are really used, but not as prominently. So we are just going to skip that thing, that part, and we are just going to go for tr. Th is for table head. We want a row, basically in a row we want column column 1. We can just have two more, column 2 and column 3. Save it. Here you can see the three columns. Good, it's now working. uh, we want one table row more, tr, and here we want td is for table data. So data 1, change it to 2 and 3. Good, now it's working. It's really working nice. Let's just copy this and paste this and paste this again. So we have a few more data. So now this is a really good column. Now for the column we can have some different what we call as stylings. So let's go to here. Let's go to style panel here. Nah, I don't want to save this. Come on. No, 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 no. Cancel. Good. So here we are going to go for a table, and we want to have border, let's say, of black, 1 pixel solid. I have already shown how border can be used. So this is for the border. Inside of tr we want to have tr, that is the table row. We also want the same thing, border this one. Copy and paste and save it. Inside of td and comma th, right? Giving a comma just defines the same thing that is being written here for everything, I think. So this is it. I think here we can write border collapse, collapse, to collapse the border. So this is it, right? If you don't have this, the th and tr will have different styling. So we have a border here. We have the border for the complete table, and for the th and td and th, that is the table data and table header, we have a different borders. So here you can see different borders for everyone. If we just collapse the borders right here inside of the styling for table, you can have this one. Now of course you can have the padding right here to give it some good functionality, good looks padding. Let's say 5 pixels, or you can use whatever you want. So I'm just increasing the space inside of the element. So inside of the element is padding, in outside of the element is margin. So this is how we can do this. Now let's say I want to justify the text into the center. I want the center text. So text align, ALIGN, center. So as soon as I do that, here you can see that it has been aligned center. You can have left, right, center, top, bottom, everything, right? So this is the use of text align. New thing that you have learned right now, the alignment. Here also you can use the same. Let's try to do for this paragraph, which has been defined as para orange, right? This is the orange paragraph that we have. We want to have a justify styling that we see in the newspapers. So when you see it, you'll understand. So right now, by default, it is the left justify, text align, text align. So right now it is here in the right for you right now here. I think, yeah, this side, which is the left part. Yeah, left part. If we have right part, then it would be margin to right. If we have center, of course, you have center. But one more important is justify. So as soon as we have justify, the paragraphs, this is what we see in the newspapers, right? The paragraph is really very well defined. Only the last line can leave space, but every other lines have to stretch across the paragraph space. So this is really really great for bloggings and stuff like that, or any newspaper style blogs. So rather than having this kind of space, if we just don't have this, if we just have left here, you can see that these spaces are being left, and when you stack them up, it actually does not look really great, because this space now right now it is orange, so it's looking great. But if it is not orange, if it is of the same color, then it will have some abnormalities. It will not look really great. So justify text align is really great to stretch it across the complete paragraph width. Let's have some padding here. Let's say 10 pixels. So just so that it looks good. So this is how it looks great. So this is it, I think, for this part. Next part that we are going to use is images. This is going to be really fun for, because we always want to download, we always want to have some images that we can use directly onto the um, websites, right? So we are just going to use, I'm just downloading one simple image, so just bear with me for a moment. I have no idea which image I'm going to download. Let's just search along with you, right? This is the web browser, of course. One great source is Pexels. It gives free images. You can use these free stock photo images. If you use any image, then you might come across with copyright issues. So Pexels is a good site where you can use free images, right? So let's find a great image to use on our website. Let's say this one looks great. We're just going to use this free download, and just wait for a moment. Yes, 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 yes. Come on, download it, man. Free download. Why is it not downloading? Come on, I don't want to do this. Just wasting my time. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You're wasting my time. I'm just going to save it from here. Anyways, it's free. Good. So we are just going to save this in the same folder, YouTube projects here. Let's make a new folder here. Always have all these files in new folders. We are just going to call it img, and instead of it we are just going to name it something better so that we can remember. uh, pic.img, jpg, I think that would work. Jpg. Good. So it is finally saved. Now to use an image, we have a tag called img. Let's just go, not a heading. Here we are just going to insert an image. Img is the tag. Just write img, enter it. You will have these two options: src, which is the source; alt is the alternative text. So source, here we want this img. Here, right here, you can see it is being showing. It is in img folder slash pic.jpg, right? Save it. Here you can see the image is being loaded. Of course, the size of the image is too big. I'm just going to decrease it. The complete size has been shown here. We are just going to use some styling functionalities inside of this image tag to give it. Alt is very useful for SEO purposes. If the images cannot be loaded, then this alt text will be shown instead. So let's say the net speed is slow, or the or the images actually do not get downloaded, then this alt text will be shown. So it is really great for SEO purposes. IMG, I'm just going to give it a class of, let's say, IMG image, right? Let's go to the style part, define dot img because it image because it is a class that we defined, opening and curly braces. Now this one is really great. Width I can define width width. I want, let's say, 100 pixels. Define it. Here you can see now the width of the image is 100 pixels. I can write anything I think here I want. Here I can define the width, I can define the height, I can define the minimum width, I can define the maximum width, maximum height, minimum height, everything. One more important thing here is the scaling part. Here we have by default a meta tag which is an extra information called viewport, and the size initial scale has been defined, width has been defined to device width, and the initial scale has been defined to 1.0. This is really useful. If I just use of course we have seen we have pixels to define the width or anything in that matter. Width, we have pixels, we have rem, we have em. One more or two more is two more are view vh and view vw. Vh and vw, it's really difficult to say. Vh is view height and vw is view width. So if I define view height and if I just save it here, you can see the image completely stretches to the complete parts. In the body I think I need to remove some margin. There is some margin by default which is defined, why that is why it is not really looking great. As soon as I delete the margin or define the margin to 0, there is no margin in the right side right now. So this is really great. So for image, or basically this width part is you can use on any other element. I'm just showing this on an image because it looks great. If we don't have this width part, here you can see the width is really haywire, it goes everywhere. But if we have a wave width of 100 wvw, then the complete stretching will occur, complete view height will be bounded. The same goes for view width, view height. So let's define a height, 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 and let's have 100 vh. Then here you can see that the complete height is being stretched. This is the complete height. For the complete height the image has been stretched. Now if we don't want the stretching, I think we can use clipping. I'm not sure if we use auto. There are different ways of image styling. We're not going to go at that just right now, just to tell you that this is the way you can have this one, right? Now the last part that we are going to look at, so you have already seen we can write uh, we can write paragraphs, text, and everything. The last two parts that we want to have is links to other pages and forms. So that is the two part that we are going to see. You have seen this image, we can define this. You can go into depth and have different uh, functionalities and different style sheets. This is not a really an extensive course, so I'm not going to define that. We have last 5 minutes. I just want to show you two more things that we can do right here. I'm just going to remove this height part here so that it looks good. Right here we want a link, link to something else, so that we can type it and it goes to a next page, right? This is what link is basically. On every other platforms you can see the link in blue color, that is by default. Let's write a link here. To have a link, basically it is what is called as an anchor tag. Anchor, a is the abbreviation for it, a is the tag name. href is again reference. So here I can write reference is basically the next part which will be shown. Let's say https www.google.com, and in the text I want link to Google, right? And as soon as I save it, here you can see link to Google. I'm just going to give it some BR so that it looks get better. So this is our link to Google. So here you can see it is blue in color. Let me just remove the color to the body so that you can see what's actually happening, right? So this is the blue link to Google. So as soon as I click it, it moves to the next page. So that is the use of anchor tags. So you can have different styling. Again, I can just remove the underline by using this great styling, which is text decoration as none. We want no decoration to it. That's it, removed. So this is really great. You can use style sheets and HTML with each other to create really great websites. Last part that we are going to look at is forms. So let's have forms right above a table. So BR, BR, no, come on, not NR, BR. I'm just going to have few HR tags just to separate the things out. And right here I want to have a form tag. So FORM, form tag. So inside of form tag we have basically action. Action is basically what page would be opened or what would happen when the form is submitted. So form, here we have action. We can have any action. Right now writing anything as an action would makes no sense at all, because we have no JavaScript to perform any actions on forms. We basically need either a JavaScript to handle the functionalities inside here itself on the browser itself, or we need to have a server where it would be sent, either a PHP server or a Node.js server or anything else. Sorry, we are not going to use that. We are just going to look at these. So now we want we have two different things here: a label for something, name, let's say, and we want the label to be name. So here we have name. Label is basically the text that would be written, and input is the tag that is that will be having an input strip. So if I save it, you can see here the input strip. Of course you can do the styling, as we have seen. You can change the borders, you can change the padding and everything like that. That is for this. We can have different types of inputs. Here I have just text. Let's just have some more. We can have password as an input type. We can have text area, area as an input type. So you can look at these things. I'm just having one text. So if I write anything in the password here, everything goes star or dotted. I can write here anything. This is the text, basic text one. I can write here. Here I can write anything. In the text area we can have something called as row, where I can define how many rows it can have. Is it row? I'm really not remembering the part here. Is it row? I have no idea. Let me just check for a moment. Okay, I'm just telling you that there is a way to have the row number of rows here. I think, is it rows? I really don't remember just right now. But for the text area, you can have some number of rows. The last thing that we want here is a button with type submit. So button with a submit button, a submit based button basically for the form. So a submit button, whenever you click this button, see, this is what is happening. If I just submit the button just right now, because you have the type as submit, and this form will be submitted. Every form should have just one button, right? There is one button which is cancel, but type if it is submit, and if I just submit the button right here, it goes to /submit. This /submit is what we got in the action. If I just write submit page, submit server, let's say, and I save it, go back here and submit the button, here will be the submit server. Basically it should be there, but yeah, that is the point of these buttons. So no, I don't want to say this. So this is how you can write forms. Of course we're not going to go for every other functionalities that is possible inside of here, because HTML and CSS is really very extensive, and there are so many things that can be done inside of HTML and CSS. We have covered really very small portion of HTML and CSS, but it is a really very crash course, so that you can create your own websites. Just you can have some um, some understanding of how we can use HTML and CSS to create web pages. So this is it. I think this is it for this video. This was really fun. We of course left a lot many important parts right in this uh, crash course, because this is we were limited by time. We just had to learn everything in just 1 hour. It's not of course possible. We just tried to brush up every important concepts, almost all important concepts inside of here. There will be extensive courses for every different functionalities, which will be able to see on this video on this channel. So you can just subscribe the channel to have extensive content for every detailed part or every detailed functionalities that we are having inside of HTML and CSS. There will be some um, functionalities that will be coming up, videos coming up inside of this channel. So I hope you learned something from this channel. It was really great fun. We spent the last 1 hour learning HTML and CSS, not extensively but enough to create our own websites. So that is it. Of course we had no functionalities. To give functionalities to this website, we have to use either JavaScript or a server, PHP or HTML or Node.js or anything like that. But this is the front end section. So that is it. I think we completed a very substantial amount of HTML and CSS just in this course. I hope you learned something good from this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please share this video with your friends and families, so that they can also learn HTML and CSS in really quick fashion. Please give a thumbs up. If you have any queries or comment, please write down in the comment section below. The number for my WhatsApp group is going right here. If you want to join the group, if you have some queries, education related, or this tutorials related queries, please do write me down on the WhatsApp number given here, so that we can at least chat about your queries and your questions. If you have any suggestions, please write down in the comment section below. Hit the smash the like button, as it is said, and subscribe this channel if you have not yet subscribed, and see you in the next video. Till then, keep smiling and keep learning.